Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Old Emo Dave channel for the first time we're gonna have a live standard game for you today. This is John. My partner Jay was with me, and Jay, what decks are we looking at today?
So on the left we have Lucy playing Rakdos Midrange. People may remember Lucy from other videos where she played Rakdos Midrange in Pioneer. Clearly just, a one-trick pony. That's what we've got here.
Hmm.
And on the right we have Dave playing Blue-White Mentor.
Yes, and not just any Dave, Jay. The father of this channel.
The Dave.
The Dave.
And here we see a turn 1 Otherworldly Gaze. Pretty good in their step. Whoa, 3 cards on top? I am shocked. They must be 3 incredible draws.
Hmm. And the fact that he hasn't changed the order means that he likes to draw them in that order.
Yeah, but with Dave, may not have thought that far ahead as well. So here we see Cavern on Vampire, and they get Blood Tithe Harvester down, and Dave cannot read. Didn't realise that Cavern meant that Blood Tithe could not be counted, so that No More Lies in hand does not get to do very much. And here we see a Picklock Prankster freeing the Fae.
I think it was very much he was blinded by the fact that he got to play with the No More Lies. It's one of these things where, so keep in mind, this was probably there when the set was released. So they've got a little excited. Cabinet of Souls, sometimes you forget about it, sometimes you wish it never was there.
Yeah, now this is a fantastic Free the Fae. We see 2 creatures, the Scholar Boy and Haughty Djinn, and then they get to put a Helping Hand into their hand. So it's likely we see a big 3-drop coming out this turn for 1 mana, and then probably No More Lies kept up, I guess, to protect it.
Yeah, protection from removal. Dave nearly milled himself with that effect, but he seems to be playing Steam Core Scholar instead of Haughty Djinn in this position.
So Haughty Djinn is only a 2/4, and if Dave isn't planning on holding up a counter spell and really wants to, draw through more cards, then it's probably quite. Oh, never mind. She's just planning on getting another Helping Hand out there.
Interesting that it must be because Dave doesn't have access to a 3rd mana source, but he could not have done that play and keep up the No More Lies in that position.
Yeah. I think maybe he was looking for the 3rd land with the Steam Core Scholar ETB. Ooh, and here we see a nice tech Blood Tithe Harvester to give the Haughty Djinn -2/-2, and then a cut down. But that is a 2-for-1. Dave can't be that unhappy about that.
No, that is definitely a commitment. And Lucy decided to change her decision on the mana she played that turn.
Yeah, so getting the Restless Vents down, pretty good creature land. It's nice to see the dual creature lands in standard. It, sort of encourages people to play a couple of colors or more.
Yeah. One thing to note is that cabin at the moment is on Vampire. But we do see a Sheoldred in Lucy's hand.
Yep, so Sheoldred probably won't be uncounterable, but,
Yeah.
Ooh, Pross.
Edict Memory. Okay, so this one's a pretty interesting tech. So whenever Dave would draw an extra card above the first, he can put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature equal to the number of cards drawn. It's pretty good.
Okay, so he makes the Scholar a 3/3, gets in. Vigilance is pretty good here on the Scholar, I think. I know it's not blocking, but it can block the Restless Vents, can it?
It should be able to, as a 3/3. I believe Restless Vents is only a 2/3. But this... So, Dave is not really is more aggressive at this point. He's not keeping up the No More Lies, which was essentially free information he's given Lucy, which allowed Lucy to go in and just play Sheoldred. Now, I don't know if this particular deck has much access to removal.
Yeah, and now we see a Surprise Witness bringing back Haughty Djinn. I do think that Dave should have maybe held up No More Lies that turn. Lucy was getting to 4 lands. Shieldred is really, really difficult to deal with. It's very difficult to race, and unlike in Pioneer, the standard Rakdos midrange deck plays a lot of bombs. As we can see, there are 2 trumpeting Carnosaurs and Cruelty of Gix in hand.
Yeah. Although Lucy seems to be stuck on her 5th mana at the moment. We do see Gix in the hand.
Trade.
It could signal a few things to Dave. If he commits to the trade, that there might be another soldier in hand. But Dave does it anyway. And yeah.
You're exactly right. However, I think that trade is still good because, it costs them an entire turn to play a Shieldred. We know, but Dave doesn't know that there's not really much else that Lucy can do with her turn. And, it's very easy to recur those Djinns from the graveyard.
Yeah.
Where is this 3rd land? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I actually don't know how many lands Dave runs in this particular list. He could be a little greedy. Could be running about 20.
Yeah, but even with 20, Dave's gone through... Oh, there we go. There's the 3rd land. Comes into play tapped, which is a small downside.
I mean, these man lands are very relevant in this format, though. They have changed sort of deck building philosophy in a way in Standard. Well, assuming you're not just playing anything pre MKM or Murders of Karlov.
So Dave playing extremely conservatively here, just chumping with the Steamworks Scholar. I'm not entirely sure about that block. I feel like you need to keep the creature out there, especially because it can get bigger using the enchantment. Yeah,
it is an interesting decision. Dave had the removal in hand as well. that might have been drawn off the sleight of hand.
Yeah,
but so I agree that it's interesting that he decided to make that block.
Yeah, I think potentially Dave would have probably had lethal by now had he not made the block with the Haughty Djinn on that Shieldred.
Yeah,
I did say the block was all right at the time, but if you've got no way to recur the Haughty Djinn, it's not the most amazing block. And the Haughty Djinn had 5 power. Dave could have very easily used another otherworldly gaze in the graveyard to get more instants and sorceries into the graveyard, bump up that power, and 3 power from the Scholar, bunch of power from the Haughty Djinn. It could have been lethal very quickly.
And speaking of bombs, Trumpeting Carnosaur going to make itself a 2-for-1. Getting another vampire. Now, Bloodletter is really good here, as now it is I believe it's still a -4 now, as opposed to a -2. I don't think Lucy cracked her blood token.
No, Lucy did. Lucy did crack a blood token earlier in the game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Blood Tithe can't. I believe that's how the first Cruelty of Gix got into the graveyard.
Ah, okay. I must have missed that one. I was too immersed by Dave's interesting blocking decisions.
Yeah, Lucy
Dave's just
completely turned the game around. I feel like Dave has played this deck in 2 different ways this match. He's played conservatively and aggressively at different times, and I feel like he's made the wrong choice on whether to be conservative or aggressive nearly every time.
I feel like you said, Jay, maintaining the board would have benefited him a lot more than just trading into things. I know, like I was saying before, I wasn't sure exactly if there was any removal. We did see Get Lost. That could have been more useful, especially when Dave was quite limited with his mana choices, to have kept the Haughty Djinn that whole time.
Yeah, like I was saying, it probably would have been lethal by now. Dave probably would have won this game unless Lucy, did like a Blood Tithe or double channeled Trumpeting Carnosaur. So I do think that Dave could have been more aggressive this game, and he sort of strayed the line between aggressive and not aggressive.
Yeah.
I feel like he could have won this game if he held up No More Lies the whole time. and had some get lost and, you know, played more of a control-y, or he could have won the game if he went more aggressive, but he kind of was on the line.
Not to entirely rip into Dave. There is kind of a mental thing that might happen due to the fact that Cavan exists on the board. Maybe Dave has not realized that the only vampire on the board, there's only two types of vampires at the moment.
Yeah, I think there's only 2 vampires in the whole deck. Although we do see a second Cavan that's likely naming Dinosaur. Wow. 3 mentors in hand.
3 mentors. Bat off the top is quite ridiculous.
Yeah, it took a helping hand. The bat is very good. The bat is probably one of the best cards out of Lost Caverns of Ixalan.
Especially in the current standard format where we see it everywhere. But I don't know. Dave is staring down a lot of power.
Yeah, I think at this point Dave's just playing it out. I mean, we can see Lucy's hand. There's a Trumpeting Carnosaur, Cruelty of Gix. There's and Mentor does not do very much unless you have a handful of spells.
Yeah, Lucy considering sacking the Blood Tithe to get rid of the Mentor, which would open the gates slightly.
Yeah, it depends how scared Lucy is of Blood Tithe, because Lucy could also of Mentor, because Lucy could also just attack with everything apart from the bat, and that would also be good. Yeah.
Keep in mind, Lucy also has another Cruelty of Gix in hand. She could reanimate another Trumpeting Carnosaur, probably find herself another removal spell.
Yep. Lucy also has another Trumpeting Carnosaur in hand, so can just cast one. Oh, and they draw a cut down.
Yep. Now, Dave, no matter how Dave blocks here, Carnosaur has Trample. And yeah, that is, I believe Dave is scooping here. Yeah,
that is the game. So as a sort of overview of that game, sure, Rakdos Midrange they got to exercise their game plan. They did very well. I think we can both agree Dave needed to be more aggressive.
Yeah, I feel like that there might have been sort of a jump in confidence after No More Lies stopped being effective.
Agreed. Now, my question is, do you think he's now taking No More Lies out?
I'm not entirely sure. It doesn't make sense, given that there are non-creature cards that are also worth countering in this position.
My argument is, I don't know what Dave's sideboard looks like, but if there are Spell Piercers or Shore-Ups or Slip Out the Back, I believe those would be better than No More Lies in this scenario. Because most of the time, the non-creature spells you're countering are gonna be removal spells.
Yeah,
and I feel, Dave can just outright win with a big Haughty Djinn or a humongous Mentor board.
Yeah, but we got to keep in mind that Rakdos Midrange and Standard is, like you said, is a bit more bomby. Cruelty of Gix is quite a massive bomb that exists in a lot of these Rakdos style decks. And I think it is worth keeping No More Lies, even if it is effectively a glorified negate, in that sense.
Fair enough. What would you take out then? What would you say would be some of the weaker cards?
I'm not entirely sure. Maybe that Proft one that gave +1/+1 counters might not be as ideal.
Yeah, that seems like
you're...
Yeah, that seems like a win more card, and it takes a lot of mana, and the Dave's deck seems very constricted on mana a lot of the time.
I believe it looks like Dave's possibly playing a full complement of lands that come in tapped.
Yeah, it's likely that they're playing 4 Restless Anchorage and then some Meticulous Archive. This is a pretty good start, though. Turn 3, they get to recur the Scholar from the graveyard.
Yeah.
Hopefully they find another land. I don't want to see them constrained on land again. Because I do think if they did get that 3rd land sooner last game, it would have been a big difference. Wow. Okay. They discarded 2 cards. I think they should have only discarded 1, right?
No, I believe they... unless you discard an instant, sorcery, or creature with flying.
Haughty Djinn has flying.
It was not the first time I've ever seen Dave misplay.
Yeah, so Dave should not have been able to discard the Monastery Mentor there.
No, this is interesting.
Never mind. Continue. So Monastery Mentor onto the field.
And Shouldred, turn 4. No. Geological Appraiser. Oh, into the removal. You know, Discover. Quite a great mechanic, especially when you're literally able to top deck everything you need.
Yeah, that is a pretty bonkers play. You know, Bloodbraid Elf into removal is always going to be very, very good. And Dave has nothing. What surely? So Dave must have counters in his hand if he's not played anything, right?
Yeah. It's one of the weird touch and go, right? Because it's a blue deck that wants to counter things. There may be cases where it may be more relevant rather than playing Mentor last turn. Oh, he was keeping up the Emperor.
So this is very good. See, here, I know 2 life is good, but here I think it would be better to make a Samurai and block with a Samurai to keep the Wandering Emperor's loyalty up. And that way next turn you get to make another Samurai, which is a pretty effective blocker against the Geological Appraiser.
Yeah, and the Vampire. But maybe Dave has another card in hand?
Yeah, maybe Dave wants to drop something and put a counter on it, and so values the 2 life a lot. You know, maybe as a Mentor that he wants to make a 3/3, although that doesn't even seem that good.
No.
We do see that Lucy has a Go for the Throat in their hand and also a Liliana of the Veil. So really, whatever Dave plays this turn is dying.
Yeah, and casting it as a creature.
To make it a 2/4. Which makes it a very effective blocker against those 2 creatures. This is a pretty heads-up play from Dave. Now, I really hope that he's got some protection in his hand, although that won't stop against a Liliana.
Oh, and
no protection.
It doesn't seem to be. This deck, I don't think traditionally would play protection, like slip out the back, right?
Maybe after side. Just because the creature density is not that high in the deck, although it does seem Dave has more creatures than usual with the Scholar included as well.
Discarding a Carnosaur. 3 mana into cycling the Carnosaur.
Yeah, channeling the Carnosaur to kill the Wandering Emperor.
Getting the full complement of damage, 6 at the moment. Dave has responded with Otherworldly Gaze, which he's dumping the whole thing.
Yeah, so there we see a Disdainful Stroke. So, like you said about the bombs, that's likely brought in from the sideboard to deal with the bombs.
And Dave flashing it back on the same turn. He's tapped out again, but so is Lucy to a degree. Now, Duress is in the standard format, so it's possible that Lucy could Duress, but no. Not available to Lucy in this current point in time. And another hard cast Mentor. Aye.
Yeah, it's really not what you want to be doing, really, with a Mentor, hard casting it.
No. I mean, in standard, there probably isn't many other cards that are available to Dave in order to make this recursion better.
Well, the 4 Helping Hands are very good.
4 Helping Hands and 4 of that. What was that other card that also for 2 mana brought it back?
Surprise Entrance or something. It's a new card from Murders of Karlov Manor. And there we see Dave had a Disdainful Stroke in hand, but Lily of the Veil gets through that, and Dave loses 2-0. So what do you think of these decks? Personally, I think Rakdos Midrange looked very, very strong. But I also think Mentor, it never popped off. I feel like if it popped off, and if they got a Mentor down on, let's say, turn 3, and they were able to play 2 spells immediately, make a pretty wide board, I think Lucy would have had a hard time. I just feel like it never really popped off. I'm not sure if I think Dave may have cut some of the cantrips and pieces like that, because I'm not sure we saw 4 Consider or 4
No.
Otherworldly Gaze. I think he cut some of those to put more creatures in, which I don't think is very good when the deck relies so much on this explosive popping off.
Yeah, and one thing I did like sort of the innovation with trying some of the newer cards, but yeah, it just seems like it was running too many creatures, which is ironic, but
yeah, agreed.
Well, anyway, this was John and my partner Jay. Thank you for watching the standard game, the first one on the channel, and who knows, maybe we'll have more.